Listen up, guys, and to the 9.9% of women that watch me, which is up from like 8.1, I want to talk about, can you retire from Bitcoin? I want to talk about how do you sell your altcoins and basically give you an overview of how I am approaching the rest of this year and 2025, being in the space since 2013. I'm going to go over what just happened with the recent pullback of altcoins. Did that happen 4 years ago? And what to expect in the next couple months? How I am approaching that? What am I doing? Am I buying? And also, am I selling, and how am I selling my altcoins? So really quick, I want to go through a few charts. We are right in the middle of where we were in the last cycle for the logarithmic regression bands. Essentially, this is totally cool. Year-to-date ROI for Bitcoin, it is performing exactly as the average of 2012, 2016, and 2020. So that is good news there. And Bitcoin is right in the middle of the previous two cycles back in 2016 and 2020. So that is looking good as well, from the bottom of the bear market to where we are right now. And finally, the risk level for Bitcoin is right where it was 4 years ago. So you can see here the risk level for Bitcoin is around this 0.6 number. And 4 years ago, it was 0.6 as well. We saw Bitcoin get a little more heated moving into Q1 of 2021, which would correlate to next year. I'll cover that in a future video, but just showing that we are in a similar place in terms of Bitcoin's riskiness. So all of that to say, everything is looking great when it comes to the charts. And I want to touch on this chart, which is really cool. I just found it, not affiliated at all with this website, but it shows, can you retire on Bitcoin? And how much Bitcoin would it take for you to retire? But first, I really hope that all of you guys survived the Great Depression of December 9th. Essentially, we saw a really scary day, and most coins are exactly where they were, if not higher than where they were before, including coins that I actually pointed out, old school coins like Aave, where I'm like, that's going to go up. We're seeing new all-time highs for Sui, Chainlink Beam, all these coins are up a ton. So if you panic sold the bottom of the dip when many altcoins were down 15, 20, or 25%, that is a huge lesson for you to not do that. Panic selling a dip makes absolutely no sense unless you think and you really believe that the price is going to keep going down and down and down and down. But all the charts show, and again, I could be wrong, but a lot of the charts are showing that we are going to have a great 2025. So to panic sell a red candle just makes no sense. And if you did that, it's okay. You learned your lesson. And hopefully with the rest of this video, I can encourage you not to do that again. And in my private Discord, I actually shared the fact that Bitcoin draws down a lot in 2021 and how that would correlate to next year. And also when we had that big dip, I was saying Ethereum is looking great. Essentially, like, do not sell this dip. This dip is for buying. And yesterday, I also shared an audio update just with what's going on in the markets. I have an expert trader giving fundamental analysis and also technical analysis as well. So if you want more access to me and you can ask me questions, I'll leave the link to the private community below. So let's talk about this chart. You're probably like, what the heck is this? This is the total crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, essentially altcoins. So what we just experienced was a nice pullback from altcoins. We essentially went down 10 to 11%. And if you factor in the wick, we dropped down to an average of around an 18 or 17% decline in the total altcoin market. So that's why a lot of you guys were freaked out. You were freaked out that like, oh my gosh, my altcoins, my entire portfolio is down 15, 20%. But this is what happened 4 years ago. So December 17th or 16th or so, we saw a pullback in altcoins approximately 17%, or actually more like 19%. Wow. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? So that's why it's really helpful, if you haven't already subscribed to my station, to subscribe, because I talk about this stuff here and in the Discord. But anyway, it's good to know that things repeat. And if you're curious what happened to altcoins later in 2021, well, this is a nice looking, lovely chart where we saw back from December picking this high in April, we saw the altcoin market go up around 545% or so. So that is pretty nice. So I'm sharing this stuff with you because the altcoin market in 2021, which correlates to next year, it went down 20% again in April. But then from late April to mid-May, it went up another 53%. So all this to say that it's really important to, one, know what you're buying, have conviction about what you are buying. Two, understanding history, looking at the charts to know that this has happened before, or at least very, very similar. And three, know what to do when your portfolio is down. Have a plan. Are you buying more, or are you sitting on your hands and doing nothing? And before I get to retiring with Bitcoin, I first want to talk quickly about selling your altcoins. I will make an entire video or multiple videos about this, so subscribe if you have not already. But this is a very simple chart showing how to DCA dollar cost average out of positions. In this chart, I'm like, I think Ethereum's going to go to over $9,000. And for each coin that you hold, you may have your own price levels for that. Essentially, how high is this coin going to go? So very simply, as the price gets higher, you sell a portion of your coins. So why do you do this? Well, hypothetically, let's go back to 2021. A lot of people thought that Ethereum was going to go to $10,000 then. So there are a lot of people that sold absolutely none of their Ethereum. They sold none. Instead of when ETH hit $3,000, you sell maybe 20%. Or 10%. When ETH hits 4,000, you sell another 10%. 5,000, another 10%. 6,000, another 10%. So even if it doesn't hit your target, you already have sold a lot of that ETH, so you have dollars and you can redeploy those dollars in the bear market when ETH went super, super low. So that's the benefit of sequentially selling positions, maybe 10% each little benchmark you have for the positions and coins that you hold. So I can't cover every single coin because there are thousands of them, and at what point should you take profits? But that is something for you to consider. Look at what you're holding, know your cost basis, basically how much you purchased that coin for, and then have a plan for when you are going to start taking profits. At what point will you take 10% into dollars or Bitcoin? At what point will you take another 10% selling into dollars or Bitcoin? In my Discord, I made a whole video about how people take profits. Some people want to take profits just in US dollars. Some people want to take profits just in Bitcoin. Some people want to roll their profits from whatever coin pumped into a sector or coin that has not pumped yet. There's a lot of ways to sell. I covered that in the server, so if you want access to that, I'll leave the link to that below. So let's dive into this site. I saw this today on Twitter, and I am like, this is a very, very cool site because it shows for Bitcoin how much you would need in order to retire based on how much we think Bitcoin is going to go up every single year. So you can plug in what you currently have, how much you have in stocks, how much you have in bonds, how much you have in Bitcoin. Do you plan to save additional money every year in stocks, bonds, and Bitcoin? And then you can plug in the expected growth. So Michael Saylor thinks that we're going to see a sustainable 30% growth for Bitcoin. And if you want to plug in 30%, you can do that. Or you can click on these other models that are floating around the internet to see what they would think for Bitcoin's growth. And also you can plug in what you think your expenses will be when you retire. So if you want to play around with this, I think it'd be really fun. So a lot of you are like, well, what if you're not holding Bitcoin? This doesn't really affect me. Well, if you're not holding Bitcoin and if you plan on selling all of your crypto in 2025, then this model really won't work super well because this is about the compound annual growth rate of Bitcoin and what they suspect it will be. Now, you can possibly model out yearly compound growth for other coins. Now, I would personally only stick to the larger cap coins like Solana, Ethereum, Sui, and not go into these really small cap altcoins because just from experience, these smaller cap coins, you just do not know if they're going to be around in 4 years, let alone will these coins be around when you retire in 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So when it comes to retirement, I love Bitcoin for that. When it comes to altcoins, in 2025, historically, they outperform Bitcoin, so it's a great way to add to your Bitcoin stack or you can just sell them to dollars or whatever fiat currency is in your country, and then you can invest into whatever, the stock market, real estate, etc. So that is it for the video. I hope you guys are doing well. Till next time, talk with you soon, and bye for now.